Viewers, welcome to TV Metro Mail. You are watching our special program. Today we have come together to create a space where we can mourn the family members, the community members, the 4 members of the same family who were killed through a targeted attack in London, Ontario. We have faith leaders with us today. We have political leaders, we have activists, we have community members, those who will talk about this issue and those who will show their respect through our today's event, online vigil. And let us start this program by observing 1 minute silence in respect to those who we have lost last week. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So may I request Abu Mohsin from on behalf of PACE, so if you can, start this session today.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, our guests. On behalf of PACE, it's a progressive action for community empowerment. It's an organization serving community here in Toronto. I'd like to express condemnation of this violent attack and offer our heartfelt sympathy to the family. We are saddened and outraged at the cowardly and Islamophobic attack on the Muslim family in London and Ontario. The victims of this attack were innocent human beings, where 4 of them were killed and 9-year-old boy was seriously injured. Our thoughts and prayers are with families. Father Salman Afzal, Mother Madiha Salman, daughter Yumna Salman, and the grandmother, may Allah grant you the highest rank in Jannah. Faiz, the 9-year-old boy of Salman and Madiha, I can't imagine how you will grow up with the burden of this emptiness and unbearable pain. May Allah make it easy for you. Echoing many officials and political leaders and community leaders, we also like to say and believe that hate and Islamophobia or any other hate has no place in Canada. As a community organization, we like to strengthen our commitment, partner with other organizations towards eliminating any kinds of hate from our Canadian society. May Allah give us the strength.
Thank you very much, Mohsin. So today we have, as you can see, that we have faith leaders with us. They are here to, with us during this difficult time. So I'd like to start with our faith leaders. That we have Rabbi Michael Dolgin with us. We have Imam Yusuf Badat. We have Reverend Brian McIntosh. Thank you very much. And we also have Mr. Farid Khan here with us. So how do you like to remember the family, that those who we have lost them last week? And what is your message to the community who are devastated by the revelation that they were killed because of who they are and because of their their faith, belief? So what is your take on this? How do you like to remember them? So can we start with Rabbi Michael Dolgin?
Certainly, Mahmoud. I am saddened but honored to be with you tonight, as this cancer has been displayed for all to see on the Canadian society. Hate is toxic. It is not an opinion or a position. It poisons and it destroys. To my Muslim brothers and sisters, to all those directly affected, and to the family and their remaining son, on behalf of my synagogue community, the Jewish community, my heartfelt condolences and statement that says that all of us are created in the image of God. All of us are beautiful and deserve a life of respect and peace. And attack in the name of religion or on the basis of religion will never be tolerated. Tragically, nothing can bring back the victims of this horrific crime. But in their memory, I pray that we can commit ourselves to build a society that reflects not the act of the murderer, but the values, in this case, of those who were unjustly and cruelly targeted. May their lives be a testimony to the society we will build, and may their name come to be a blessing for all of us, for our society.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Michael. I would like to ask the same thing to Reverend Brian McIntosh. So what is your message to the community during this difficult time?
Well, it is an honor and a sad privilege to be with you tonight. I express the condolences of those whom I represent, the Christian community at my church, and my brother and sister Christians who care deeply about our interfaith partners in faith. This is yet another sad chapter in a Canadian history of Islamophobia that rears its head to such a violent degree on occasions such as this. And it rips from us any notion of our innocence in this regard. With our attention being drawn to this family in London for whose loved ones we grieve, we must know that there is a daily kind of pain and prejudice that is borne by the Islamic community right across this country. And it's just the most high profile example because of the lives that have been so rudely and devastatingly taken in an instant, leaving a 9-year-old boy to grieve the loss of his parents and grandparents and to consider a future where he's going to have to be held by the wider community in order to grow up with any semblance of hope or joy or normalcy. It is devastating for us. Our hearts grieve with you. We know this is not the first time. I pray God that it may be the last time for such an act to occur. And I pledge to you our community's desire that we make it so. Having said that, we know that it's a long road to root out the kind of hatred that led to this act, both within our religions and beyond in the broader Canadian society. And I pledge to you my commitment and the commitment of my brother and sister Christians who care deeply about your loss as we move forward together. I wish you the blessings of Allah as you seek to take up your rites of remembrance and mourning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Brian. So I would like to request our Imam Yusuf Badad that we all know that they were killed because of their belief, their religion. So during this difficult time, what would be your message to the community?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings be upon every one of you. Thank you for having me on this program. Yes, indeed, this is a tragic event. This is something that should not be happening. But as we know from the news as well as from statistics, Islamophobia is on a rise. And Islamophobia is real. It has been taking place. Our community has been somewhat silent, but time and again, we see the manifestation of hate against our community. My message is firstly, those who have passed away in this tragic event, we know from an Islamic perspective, they are in paradise. They were wrongfully taken off of this earth, and we consider them as martyrs. And as the Quran highlights, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We belong to God, and to Him shall we return. And their death has resulted in them entering paradise. So they are definitely in a better place. As far as how we remember these individuals, they were great persons in the community. And as some of you probably already have come across, the various news stories and those who were close to them. They were volunteers at their local communities. They were excelling in helping the community and the society. And here, a crazy individual just takes away their lives, and based on hate and hate-motivated violence, has caused this chaos within our peaceful country, Canada. My message to the community, to the Muslim community in particular, is that this is not how Canadians are. This is definitely an isolated case. Not to say that there is hate and racism that does not exist. It does exist out there. Be vigilant, be strong, pray to the Almighty, get to know your neighbors, connect with one another, and know that there are far more good people out there than bad. Be vigilant, be alert. If any kind of hate or any kind of, whether even if it's a minor act of hate, do not let it go unreported. I've been in touch with the police forces and the RCMP and the CSIS, and they've all mentioned to me many a times the Muslim community, they face all kinds of hate, but they don't report it. They just talk about it on their dinner tables. So with more stats and more information available, there's more that can be done. Also, we need to ensure that the misinformation and misunderstanding that is out there about our religion, we need to clarify it with our teachings and our actions. And that's why I say get to know your neighbors, get to know your coworkers, let them know who you are as a Muslim. Don't be embarrassed and shy as a Muslim. The Muslims are doing great in this country. They're mainstream within the context of our community. One of the specialists of the virus, Dr. Shawkani, is at the forefront during this virus, and he is a Muslim, and he's helping the entire Canadian society to deal with this virus and this pandemic. Like this, there are many examples. So we need to be proud of our identity, and let us not let this act of hate and violence make us weak. Rather, it is a note to make us more strong. And let us reaffirm that we will not let hate and violence destroy our solidarity, destroy any way our practice of our religion, and be bold about how you practice Islam, how you adorn yourself with Islamic identity. Do not feel embarrassed. Do not feel shy. As people say, haters will hate, but that won't shake us. We need to continue doing what is required to be great human beings, great Canadians, great Muslims, And we see here on the panel other faith leaders who are standing in solidarity. Yesterday, the Prime Minister, the Premier, they all spoke very tactfully and supporting the community. So know that you are not alone. And if you ever feel threatened or you ever feel in a difficult situation, there are authorities and community that is behind you that will do their best to ensure your safety and your progress. So we pray once again for the best of stability and peace for our communities and our societies. And we stand together in solidarity, regardless of our faith or our backgrounds, that we are here together as Canadians, regardless of our religion, and we stand together and we pray together for the best of peace and prosperity for one and all. Thank you. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Imam Yusuf Badat. So we have with us Dr. Farid Khan. Farid Khan, you have been working in this area for quite a long time. So what would you like to add on with all these things?
Before I get to that, I'd like to begin with a short prayer of my own. I've been speaking at a number of vigils over the last couple of days and another one, and I feel it's necessary to say a prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. May God Almighty, the compassionate, the merciful, bestow his graces on all of the Afzal family. May he give strength to young Fayaz to cope with his tragedy and grow up to be the best example of his family. May he give strength to the Muslim community to rise above the hate that is directed our way. May he give us more allies to stand against hate, bigotry, and racism in this country. And may he allow us to live long enough to see the scourge of hate pushed back into the deepest, darkest recesses of society. Ameen.
Ameen.
Yes, I have been addressing issues of racism and human rights for quite some time. And sad to say, I felt that something like this was around the corner. This is the third incident over the last 4 years of a hate-motivated attack against Muslims. The first one was in Quebec City in January 2017. The second one was in September last year outside the IMO Mosque in Toronto, and now this one. And this is not something that has evolved only over the last few years. This has been building for a long time. Islamophobia existed. It's existed for a very long time, long before 9/11, but it was sort of under the surface. It actually, I sort of first saw examples of it after the Gulf War in 1991. But then it was 9/11 that pushed it into the forefront, and Muslims began being targeted and vilified by right-wing politicians, by media, and the media narratives that were being put out there were very pejorative and very negative, and basically it put a target on the backs of Muslims. And then it sort of simmered down a little bit, although it never went away entirely. And then in 2015, when Donald Trump jumped into the political fray in the US, that's when it exploded. And it has given energy and license and fuel to racists and haters and white supremacists to basically display their hate and racism openly. And unfortunately, you know what? I appreciate that yesterday the Prime Minister was at the vigil in London, and the Premier and the other federal leaders, but they were there also in 2017. And we made requests, the Muslim community and anti-racism activists made requests to the government that they have to get on board with a fairly aggressive anti-hate and anti-racism strategy, led federally, involving provincial governments as well, to target hate and white supremacy, which was growing. And now, over the last number of years, we've had a huge jump in white supremacist groups across the country. Sure, the government labeled one, the Proud Boys, as a terrorist group recently, but there are other more dangerous groups out there that are still running free, and there is no rein on them. CSIS in 2015 issued a report before this current government got elected. They issued a report saying that white supremacist and extremist right-wing groups are the biggest threat to the national security of Canada. And yet the resources to deal with them have not been put in place. So frankly, I'm tired of the thoughts and prayers of politicians. I'm tired of them saying this is not our Canada. Well, you know what, Mr. Trudeau and Mr. O'Toole and Mr. Ford, yes, this is our Canada. And the evidence of that is blood on the street in London, and blood that was cleaned away in the mosque in Quebec City, and blood in front of the mosque in Toronto. Muslims have paid a heavy price for racism and bigotry in this. So I just wanted to say that Canadians as a whole, as well as Muslims who want to live in a peaceful and respectful society, need to get on board and basically pressure our governments to take decisive, meaningful, and concrete action. Not next month, not next year, but today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Farid Khan. So we'll come back to you again, but we have number of community members with us. So we have Srijuni Rahman presents the young generation. So Srijuni, I would like to ask you, but before you answer, we have a video clip. We'll see that one and then we'll come to you. But let me put the question first to you: that how do you feel after all these things happening, in Canada, where you were brought up, and you had your studies and everything, all your friends. So we need to hear from you. But before going into that, let us watch a brief video and then we'll come back to our discussion again.
In Yamna Afzal's hands, the world was filled with so much promise. Her vision, excellence, integrity, respect, and honesty.
And I think about the 4 virtues that are listed on this wall, how we need to embody them, how we need to bring humanity back and continue our fight against hate.
Asad Chowdhury is the principal at the London Islamic School. 15-year-old Yamna was a student here with her brother until she graduated last year. She left behind a gift. She and her mother painted this mural. It is now her legacy.
It means the world, and it really is telling of the fact that we lost true gems of not just our school community, but community at large.
The community is crushed by the deaths of Yamna, her parents, and her grandmother. Her 9-year-old brother, the lone survivor, remains in hospital.
The family is a very integral part. They're very active members of our community.
Hassan Mustafa knows the family from the mosque. He is rocked by the revelation that police believe the family was targeted because of their faith.
As a father, I feel it's my job to protect my family. As a community leader, I feel it's my job to protect my community. And so it's tough. It's a tough day. It's a tough week.
Tonight, at the site of the attack, people paid their respects.
Honestly, I think we all feel some personal connection to this, whether or not we're from this faith, whether or not we know this family. We're all part of this community and we all care about them.
To get here today, I walked. And a couple of times I stopped and waited for the light to turn green. And I never once thought about my personal safety. And everybody deserves that same right.
From there to where a vigil was held, the hundreds in attendance listening for words of healing.
We will not cower out of fear. To this community, which has made London stronger for generations, and to all Muslim Canadians, we are with you.
We have to commit ourselves to working across party lines, with premiers, with mayors, with faith leaders, to end the kind of violence and hatred that took these lives.
Everyone hoping to one day see a world as beautiful as Yamna Afzal created.
Thank you. Thank you. Srijuni, you have seen the video clip and you have seen that our political leaders, they have been, always make a lot of commitments, but still things are happening. So how do you feel about this?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you and everybody else for joining here today. I think we're all collectively going through a time of trauma and extreme pain. So I appreciate the opportunity to process what's happened together. I think we're all mourning, and so I appreciate that. So thank you. And secondly, Uncle, to answer your question about how I feel as a young person with what's happened, I wish I could say that I was surprised. And the truth is that I'm not surprised at all. And I completely agree with what Fareed Khan was saying prior. This is Canada. Islamophobia, hatred, racism, and hate against the Muslim community has been brewing and has been happening for decades and decades and decades under the surface. This has been years in the making. It's the propaganda, the justification of Islamophobia has been years and years in the making. And this is not the first time. And so I wish I could tell you that I'm surprised as a young person, but I am not. I feel numb with what has happened. But definitely this was coming as a country. Last week, when 215 Indigenous children were found in Camp Loops with what happened, the country has its roots in colonialism. The country has its roots in white supremacy. So this is very much expected. But at the same time, I think that I also have found a lot of strength in knowing that there's been decades and decades of advocacy from activists and advocates in the community in Canada who has advocated for racial justice, for equity for all. And I know that has led to systemic and structural changes. We're able to have these conversations openly today. And so that gives me a little bit of strength and a little bit of hope to know that there's grassroots organizations, people on the ground working on equity issues day in, day out. And that has helped me process this further, but I'm definitely not surprised. And this is not by any means a random act, as a lot of news media is maybe portraying it. Like I said, years in the making. And Islamophobia, it's part of our structures, it's part of racism, part of our structure, part of our system, part of our policies and laws. So this is, just an extension, a very, very devastating extension of that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We may discuss about all these issues that you have mentioned, including Islamophobia, later part of the program. So we have another community member. She has joined with us, Nusrat Jahan, a barrister and solicitor. I can see her. So Nusrat, we were, discussing about, last week's, horrific attack on a family, Muslim family. And we are remembering them, the family members, those who we have lost last week. How do you feel about the whole thing? So what is your concern at this moment?
Thank you, Imam, for organizing this vigil online. So we were not able to attend the vigil that took place yesterday, but our hearts were there. So today we are remembering the Afzal family of London, Ontario, with a heavy heart. And our heart especially goes out to the 9-year-old son who lost his mom, his dad, his grandmom, his sister. And I can only pray that may Allah grant them all Jannat. So what I'm saying is that as a Bengali-speaking Muslim, I want to believe in my heart that this hate crime does not represent Canada. It should not represent Canadian values, because Canada is our home that we chose. Like we chose with an informed decision that when we decided to migrate to Canada, we knew that Canada is known for its democratic values, its multicultural societal values. These were the attractions that we had when we immigrated to Canada. So I can fully relate myself with this family, because I came to Canada 10 years ago with my family. So I can feel that very, very with like we are grieving now with the entire Afzal family. And when we chose Canada, we knew that Canada has a tolerance of people towards multicultural race, and they believe in they respect the religious beliefs of each other in Canada. So those were the attractions that led us to choose Canada as our home. So when these things happen, such hate crimes happen, and when our tolerance level is depleting, so then we must act united. We must act united, and we must tackle this discrimination, harassment, racial attacks. I mean, like Srijoni has said, as a woman, I have faced numerous incidents of what I fear most is that as we grieve with this family of London, Ontario, Afzal family, along with the Muslim community of Ontario, what I feel is that this attack may lead people of our race or our community of feeling unsafe, vulnerable, because then we feel a pressure that probably we are not integrating, probably we are failing, probably there is something that is our wrong, that is our part, that we are not playing. Maybe it's our fault, that why are we being chosen and why are we being attacked. So this is kind of a pressure, this is a burden on us. So, and this leads to a very unsafe, and we feel very fearful. So, and this may cause us to forego our uniqueness and diversity. Like as a lawyer, as a Muslim female lawyer, I feel that I should wear more and more Western clothes, leaving my cultural traditional clothes, or or maybe more homogeneous clothes. But I feel a pressure that if you are not mixing properly, you don't get clients, you don't there are so many pressures that new immigrants and even immigrants from generation like 1 decade ago, like the Afzal family, they came, I heard that they came only 14 years ago to Canada with their little daughter. She was then 2 months old. So I can fully relate to this family, and I feel that at these times when, as a general member of the community, of this community, I feel that we need support from the faith leaders, faith leaders and our politicians about how we should confront, how we should, interrupt Islamophobia or hate crimes, or any other racism, any other discrimination in all sectors. I mean, we have been facing so many discrimination, especially in workplace. There are so many harassments, so many issues. I mean, this is I feel that this occasion is not for that. I mean, I feel that we are here to mourn the family's loss and his friends' loss, the neighbors' loss. So with a heavy heart, I definitely feel that our religious leaders and political leaders, they should help us, they should support us, how we should tackle these issues.
Thank you very much, Barrister Nusrat Jahan. So viewers, thank you very much for being with us. In our next program, we'll talk about some other issues. Until then, please take care and stay well. Thank you.